Hello, it's Pibble and today we're going over how to make magnetic dungeon terrain with a little bit of extra texture to use as natural walls or rough terrain. So first off, we're going to use a proxon or a utility knife to cut 3x3 tiles, getting them as straight and lined up as you can. Next up, you want to get your grid going. I like to bevel mine with a ballpoint pen to make the grooves stand out a little bit more, make it look a little bit more like edged flagstones. Then we use the good old balled up tin foil and really push hard to give a lot of craggy texture. This will really show up when we do the dry brushing, and it adds a lot of character to the piece. To get the rougher texture for that rough terrain or organic cave walls, you want to add white glue in whatever patterns and shapes you want. I recommend making sure they stay within the bounds of certain squares so it's very clear to your players where the rough terrain is. And then you want to pour over your construction sand or craft pebbles, whatever you're using, and you want to make that fairly thick. Then you go over with some spray Mod Podge and saturate the sand and really let it dry before you do the next step. Next, you want to get little magnets and press in exactly where you want them. I recommend on the left-hand side under the 1-inch mark. It works really well for me. Then you want to use your utility knife or a hobby knife to cut out a little divot for your magnet. Put some glue in there. I just use white glue. And then to make sure your magnet's facing the right way, I recommend using your scalpel to put it in the hole so that it sticks to the scalpel and the magnetic side is always facing out. You're going to do this on all 4 sides of each tile. Then you want to get your flat head 1/2-inch screws and screw them in on the right side under the 1-inch mark. And if you do this on all 4 sides of all your tiles, they should all snap together happily. And that's really all there is to getting the magnetic part. Next up is the same thing you do for basically any terrain. You add your black Mod Podge layer and you get your painting done. Doing the Mod Podge over the sand can be a bit difficult. It really wants to stick to your brush, but just hang in there. It is worth it for the final effect. I went with a dark gray kind of base because I thought the black might be a little bit too dark, and then followed that up with a red and then a dry brush of a pumpkin orange and a white. I found all that ended up being a little bit too bright, so I went over it again with the Vallejo Sienna wash, which is probably one of the more expensive ways to do dungeon tiles, but I really liked the final outcome. It dulled it down in a way I was really happy with, and I think my players are really gonna like it. There's also a full video tutorial on these tiles as well as a written out blog at either YouTube or pibblepusher.ca, depending on your preference. Those links are both in my bio. Don't fret too much if your magnets or screws aren't perfectly aligned. Mine weren't, and they still snap together just fine. If you're looking for somewhere in this project to put a little bit of extra energy and effort, I recommend making it right at the very beginning when you're cutting your squares. Make sure they're really square and they all match at that 3x3 measurement. I should have put more effort there and did not. And it really shows in the final piece. Here they are. You can see they don't quite line up perfectly, but the effect is great. I love how the rough terrain turned out. And I'm in love with this color palette. I really didn't want just another boring gray set of tiles. I have one of those. I'm good. I needed something different. It helps that my current campaign is happening in sort of a red desert, Arizona style situation. I also enjoyed that you can really see the natural hallways that you could form and make sort of unique organic looking dungeons with these. And of course they're really fun just to snap and unsnap and see how many you can hold up with the power of magnets. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, happy crafting!